And Ethan, I need you to go on our webpage and just confirm that we can see the video on Watch Government TV. It's gonna take a second because I'm coming in there now as the admin.
Okay. Where should I go to see? Because I've never seen the video from the website. Where should I go?
In albanyny.gov, there's a search feature. In that search box, type in Watch Government TV.
Yeah, I don't know where anyone is. That's weird. Because Tom, yeah, like Tom and Megan were on this earlier.
You may have to admit people. I see people in the waiting room.
The waiting room, am I not a co-host? Because it's, I don't see.
I just admitted everyone in. I did admit all. So now everyone is joining us. I would just let them know that
we're live. We're live.
We're hot.
Okay, for everyone joining, we are currently live, so just keep that in mind. We're using a new service and trying to change some things, and so as a part of that, we're working out some more kinks, but we're going to be better for it moving forward. So we're live as we speak. And there, I mean, there are enough of us to get started. So with the caucus, right? We're on our caucus. So we'll just give it another minute. Mr. Bauer.
The city sent out a communication just a minute ago that they've settled with the police union, which is really good news finally.
That was in our email.
Yeah, there's we have an MC tonight with not with the final numbers in it, but it'll be an MC for that, referred to finance committee to get deeper into the numbers on that. So we'll do an MC for that.
Thanks.
Just trying to give it a second to see for Council President Ellis to jump in. None of you had any issues logging in, did you? No? Okay.
Kelly, Kelly, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Can you hear me? What does MC mean?
We're adding an item to the agenda by majority consent. It's like something you do for last minute emergency situations to add stuff to the agenda. So
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I often forget to explain. That's where my buddy and co-leadership person Jenny usually jumps in and explains the acronym that I missed or or left off. So, but
That's
yeah.
all right. We'll ask.
Sorry,
Thank you.
I was going to get cough drops.
Okay, is that Jack all masked up? Real nice. Okay.
I'm in the nursing home, that's why.
Okay. All right. So we'll get started. Just welcome everyone to our caucus and work session prior to our regular meeting. Today's Thursday, January 20th. Just for roll members present, Hoey, Keegan, Romero, Adams, Zamer, Love, Ballerin, Clark, Flynn, Farrell, Frederick, Johnson. We've staff, clerk Daniel Gillespie, legislative aide Ethan Samuel, corp counsel Brett Williams. I think I got everyone that's here. This needs to be off. Sorry about that. Okay, so just agenda-wise, we're still early in the term, so we don't really have a whole lot of stuff on yet. But just jumping in for our approval minutes from a previous meeting. We'll have the January 3rd, both organizational meeting minutes and the regular meeting minutes. I'll be offering those for approval. They're really short, like one pagers. So I'll be offering those. Then moving down to consideration of ordinances, we'll be taking up ordinance 11122. That was referred and discussed in the finance committee meeting. Came out with a positive recommendation. Did you want to say anything about that, Ms. Frederick?
Just briefly, this is the one related to bonding for traffic engineering's radio frequency change that they have to make per the FCC.
Thank you. Okay. And then next on to our resolutions introduced. We've got 4/12/22 by Mr. Ballerin. That's for authorization of the Capital Resource Corporation. That's going to be a referral to the Planning Committee to be discussed. That's 4/12/22R. Then next on to resolution 5/12/22R by Ms. Frederick. Again, we were waiting for some information on the salaries, which we got today. Again, it's a referral to finance, so we're not going to jump right in and pass anything right now. We'll get a chance to discuss it. Those numbers were in that email sent out by Mr. Williams earlier today. So it's a referral to finance for those salary adjustments. And then next, for the majority consent, what I'm looking to do, and that was a part of that email that Mr. Williams sent out late today, is the ordinance, resolution 6/12/22. It's for the adjustment in salaries for APD. It's for the PBA positions. Mr. Williams, do you care to just quickly say, mention?
Yeah, so the Albany Police Benevolent Association is the union for most, if not all, police officers, and I think some detectives as well. It's the successor union to the Albany Police Officers Union, and I think was it September when they recertified with the new union? Recently anyway. But this contract has been under negotiations for a very long time, going back as far as 2016, I think. Finally got it settled, signed by both the city and the union. And under that contract, all the union members are entitled to pay raises and to back pay dating back, I think, as far as 2016. So this resolution will effectuate those changes. It'll help move the money around to get the officers and the detectives both their salary, their raises going forward and their back pay under the contract.
Thank
I don't have
you.
the numbers available yet. I'm waiting on those from budget, sort of like we did with resolution 5/12/22, where put it out there to get it referred to the finance committee, and then we'll plug the numbers in by amendment once they're available.
Right, and so, and the plan is to schedule a finance committee meeting with Ms. Frederick's permission for after our caucus on February 2nd. That shouldn't be a long caucus, so we can get into the finance and go through both of these pieces. Finance wise, money wise, I mean, it's a lot. I think there's going to be a big number attached to the adjustment for the police department. I mean, it's like a lot. So obviously we have to discuss and get through that. And Mr. Williams, did you want to say something?
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add was just procedurally this evening, since this resolution didn't go out with the support legislation that I sent out Friday before last Friday, 10 days ago, whenever it was, it has to be added by majority consent. In other words, a majority of the council members have to approve the motion to add it to the agenda. I'm not sure if anybody had explained that yet, so sorry if I'm being redundant. But
No, that's very more helpful than I was, because I threw the MC out there, and then this, council member Zamer said, "What's the MC?" So you gave a much thorougher explanation of what we're going to be doing. So
they do happen from time to time.
Yes. So we'll be attempting to add it. Of course, we all have to agree to add it by majority consent. Ms. Romero.
Ms. Amer was not the only one with that question, so I'm really appreciative that she asked that. Just a question about the contract. Will the council be able to see the new contract? I know that we'd just be voting on the salary differences, but would we be able to see that document?
Typically, I would imagine that, in our roles as legislators here and oversight, we can. I can't remember ever seeing one. But I certainly could imagine that if someone wanted to see, we usually just get the numbers and work through that. But you have a right as in that seat that you sit in to see that. Okay, Ms. Frederick.
Thank you. Just a quick comment as it relates to the plan for February 2nd. That is totally fine with me to proceed forward as long as it works for the fellow finance committee members, but we can get out an email just making sure that works for everyone following the meeting.
Right. Thank you for that. And I just anticipated that it wouldn't be an issue because it's our caucus. It'll probably be not a lengthy caucus, and we should all be there from being at the caucus. Ms. Amer?
I was just wondering, I read it kind of quickly because the communication came in late. There's a 30-day window that opens, right? Is that once there was an agreement between the city and the union? Is that relevant to this?
Yes, and I don't have the contract pulled up in front of me at the moment, unfortunately.
That's 30 days from the signing of the contract agreement.
Yeah, I'm just not recalling off the top of my head. I think
it was a couple of weeks. It was I remember seeing it, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I will look into that. Again, okay. I don't have a contract pulled up in front of me as I said.
But obviously you're aware, will be aware of the time frame.
Yeah, and that's
with scheduling meetings and whatnot.
Yep, that's part of the reason we want to move this quickly.
Yeah.
And because it's, they've been without a contract for a very long time at this point.
Right. And what I'd suggest is we got a little bit of time before we get to that finance committee meeting. So any questions, comments, we have enough time for folks to compile their questions for that discussion. We're looking to have both budget and some folks from the administration come in and kind of explain all of that, because it's a lot, and it of course it has to be sorted out and paid for, and that has to be discussed. So Ms. Keegan.
I just wanted to note for Gabriella that typically the contracts are posted electronically on the police union's website. I don't know if the city of Albany posts its contracts, but they do ultimately get posted on PERB. So if you're ever looking to see any of our contracts that we have with any of our organized labor outfits, typically once a clean copy is done, it is posted on PERB's website. I don't know if there's any timing delay for that, but you should be able to find all of them eventually. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? So, okay, moving on, still in the agenda, we got.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you about. Took me 10 minutes to get in here. I don't understand what's up with the links. We send them and they don't work. I don't get it, but. Where are we on the agenda, Kelly?
We're coming to the end. You want me to just
Well,
come back?
that's fine.
So right now, just real quick, meeting minutes, January 3rd, organizational and regular meeting minutes. And then ordinances held. We've got 1/11/22.
Yep.
That will be moving that. Then the resolutions introduced, 4, 5, 4 by Mr. Ballerin going to planning. 5 is by Ms. Frederick going to finance. And then we have 6, 12, 22 by Ms. Frederick, which will be added by majority consent. That's
So
the MC.
5.
Right after 5, we're going to have an MC.
Gotcha. So that
It'll be
one's
6.
522 is not an MC.
Right.
'Cause in my
520.
email, it says it's an MC.
It's not. It was already on the agenda.
Okay.
So we were just waiting on numbers. So the MC
Gotcha.
is 6, 12, 22R. Okay. And then on to resolutions held, we have 2, 1/11/22R and 2/11/22R by Ms. Frederick. They actually went through the finance committee already, came through positive recommendations. Ms. Frederick, you care to speak to that?
Yep, so just 1/11/22R was related to the salary adjustments for water department, corp council, as well as the police department. And then 2/11/22R is related to the new grant funded positions for the Love Your Block Fellow, as well as the Climate Justice Fellow. That's all.
Okay, so that's it for the agenda. Okay, so Mr. Williams.
The council members from the last council will remember that a while back, I think probably in September, I had mentioned a lawsuit in which the council was named regarding an item of legislation granting an easement to Druthers. The plaintiffs in that case have discontinued the causes of action against the council and the mayor. So there are causes of action that remain against the Board of Zoning Appeals, but they did withdraw their causes of action against the council because the council repealed the ordinance authorizing that easement in the first place. So just wanted to update the council on that.
Right, and right now isn't in the near future that's going to come back up before the BZA. I think I saw an email where there's another. They're resubmitting or what have you. Druthers is.
Yeah, without getting into the arcana of it, they are going through the BZA process again. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So that's it for the agenda. So how are we doing, Miss Gillespie? So can you explain what we have going on? Actually, first let's Miss Romero. Go ahead.
Oh, I just have a quick question. I noticed that in the 2 resolutions that we're voting on tonight, that they mix. One of them is seemingly similar to 11/22R, but 1/11/22R kind of has 2 different departments in it, and I wasn't sure in the future if we would be able to separate those or if they're always clumped together in cases like that.
And so the reason why those were separated out was entirely my request to have, I had I wasn't sure that I would continue on as finance chair, so I had wanted to separate those out. So there's like a separation between old business and new business. Usually all salary adjustments are in one resolution. And so it's not usually separated out like that. That was just my personal request for, just for like nuances, so we could, if the new chair wanted to take over and do a separate meeting without any of the old business, they could, to kind of just give some flexibility with that.
And usually most salary changes and other resolutions like that generally only encompass one department or one position, but these were a group of salary changes that came down at the end of the year, sort of as part of the budget process or just after the budget process. So they were trying to get a number of positions across a few departments taken care of quickly.
Understood. And so in the future, it comes in chunks of chronological order or via departments or with salary changes? This is new, so I'm just learning.
Yeah, it's sort of ad hoc, I guess, when the requests come in from various departments.
Because there's not necessarily any, I think, so in this situation, most of these salary changes, so the 111, that was part of like a broader amount of salary changes, as Brett had said, that were, they kind of gone through the budget and realize they missed things or different things will come in. That's not uncommon for it to happen. Usually you don't get big chunks like that. It's usually, here and there that it'll happen. It's just how it comes up for each department. So it's really more of an organic thing on what's happening within the city and departments. So, we are expecting that, unfortunately, we don't have an update yet on the salary study, but I'm assuming that we'll probably get a bunch after we get that and are able to kind of go through that data. So that would be a situation where we get a whole bunch at once, but usually it's just kind of an organic thing that happens. If there's a salary adjustment, sometimes a position, like sometimes it's to go down, like maybe a position is open and they don't need that position, they need a lower position. Sometimes they want to give someone a raise within the department, like to give them to move up a level. So it really happens throughout the year. There's not any really set schedule for it.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. So we have just a couple more minutes before we head into or out of caucus. So Ms. Gillespie, could you just kind of explain how our streaming system is working here and what we got going on?
So we're trying some new things to improve the reach. A lot of your constituents one of their complaints have been that they're not all on Facebook. So tonight's meeting is being streamed to the City of Albany Common Council's webpage, so people can watch it that way. And then it's not platform dependent, Facebook or YouTube. And then we also avoid a lot of the ads, because as a legislative body, you don't have any control over the ads of your your deliberative sessions that may be on YouTube. They can put the ads in. If it's directly on your webpage, you maintain control. So I have been working with our IT department, Mark Dory, to figure out a way to use a platform to stream it to multiple locations. So we're trying to make sure that we get a stable stream to Facebook for some of your constituents that are Facebook followers, to YouTube, and then also to the webpage. And then that way, hopefully, the public can see all the great deliberative work that you do as a legislative body and stay informed. So I'm texting back and forth with Mark. So letting people in was a little slow because we're trying to do a couple things all at once. So to anyone who struggled to get in, I apologize profusely. But if you go to the Watch Government section TV of the City of Albany's page, you'll see the common council, but then one of the cool features is the agenda accompanies it. So people who are watching can also pull up the agenda in one location and better follow along the meeting. So that's that. I'm gonna do a quick check with Mark to confirm that our YouTube is up and good and our Facebook is up and good, and then I'll be back.
Thank you. Mrs. Zamer, did you have a
That's,
question?
I was just gonna ask Danielle if this is currently being streamed on Facebook and YouTube. That was, but she said she was going to check on that, so.
Yeah. And so, and for our page, it's actually pretty neat. You can see everyone. It's actually pretty, I mean, it's not real time, but it's pretty close, and the agenda's next to it, and I like it.
It's about
I
a
like it.
50-second delay, but we're working on that too.
Thank you. So, anyone have anything else? We just got a couple minutes before I turn it over to El Presidente.
Yeah.
Mr. Nani.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to share, I'm not sure if you said this earlier, but in the governor's 2023 budget proposal, the $15 million was added in capital city funding for the city of Albany. So I'm really excited about that. I know many of my colleagues are really excited about that. And it's a testament to the work that council members are doing and also continue to do. And I'm pretty sure the resolution that we do on an annual basis also has something to do with it. So just want to share that news with everyone.
I just
Yes.
wanted to, I'm sorry to cut you off. I got confirmation from our IT partner, Mark Dory. He's the head of our City of Albany IT department. He's been working tirelessly on this with me. And he has confirmed that we're good on YouTube and on Facebook. And then as you all can see on our actual webpage, we're good. So we have 3 streams going.
Thank you, Danielle and Mark.
Yes, thank you very much. This is good. It's actually a pretty neat interface that we have here. So, all right, just a couple more minutes. Anyone? Anything?
Yeah, Kelly, the extension of the virtual meetings, can you talk about that a little?
You want to take that, Jenny? Mr. Pichardo was working on that stuff and keeping up with it for us, and he's unfortunately not with us tonight.
And I apologize. That was in my current brain fog. That was one of the things I was going to go over this evening. I'll send out, but I will send out an email. I have the legislation, and I'll make sure I update everyone, and we'll make sure to talk about it at the next caucus, so the public is fully informed as well. But they did pass legislation that went through both houses, and the governor signed it. And I again apologize. I'll read up on the legislation and make sure he knows all the logistics of it.
Yeah, and I thought Mr. Pichardo sent it. I actually thought he sent it out, but a link to it. So
I can forward the link. It's tied into the state of emergency for New York. And as long as it's a continued state of emergency, usually the ability for municipalities to continue to meet remotely is tied directly into that. So when they stop the state of emergency because the COVID crisis has been mitigated, then we would go back in person, which is my understanding. But I'm going to push everything out in like 2 seconds. And then you'll all have it and the link, and you can read it at your leisure.
thank you, Ms. Gillespie. Okay.
Do we have anybody signed up for public comment period, Ms. Gillespie?
No one has signed up for public comment for this particular meeting.
Okay.
Is there a date for the state of the city by any chance? Anyone leadership?
31st.
31st. Okay, great.
31st, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had talked about that at the last caucus, but it's a good reminder. Thank you. The 31st at 5:30, with the remote meetings, the administration still wants to do it in person, but it will be closed to the public and to city staff. But it will be live streamed, so it'll be on all the platforms live. And any council members that are not comfortable being in person are welcome to watch from home. The press will be allowed in, but it'll be a limited number of press. And so.
Right, yeah, and if you're remote, you'll just be able to view it. You won't be able to interact, so.
Yeah, there's not going to be a Zoom link or anything. So it's just something you'll just watch from home.
Okay, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kimbrough. We now welcome to our Thursday, January 20th, 2022 Albany Common Council meeting. Can the clerk please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. President, if all members can unmute themselves so that they're able to respond to their names. Adams.
Here.
Anani.
Here.
Valorant.
You're still getting used to that, I know, Nani.
I know it's tough.
Yeah.
Clark.
Here.
Farrell.
Here.
Flynn.
Here.
Frederick.
Here.
Hoey.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Keegan.
Here.
Kimbrough.
Here.
Love.
Here.
Robinson. Romero.
Here.
Zamer.
Here.
Mr. President, that's 14 members present and 1 absent.
Thank you. And now will please join us, put up the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have our moment of silence.
I'm going to defer to Ethan to pull up a flag really quickly because
Okay.
I'm having a hard time with the multiple screens.
Sorry, I'm pulling it up right now.
Thank you.
Tom usually has one too for us.
I know, but Tom's not. Yeah, we would use hit. I was thinking the same thing. He normally has one in the back.
Sorry, so much pressure trying to find the right picture. I'll just pull one up though.
Thank you. Any flag will do. Just as long as American flag will do.
Lucy, don't you have a flag too? Big flag up.
I know. Thank you, council member. If you have one in your background.
Just you usually have a really lovely flag picture behind you. There, Sonia, save the day.
Do you have one, Ethan?
My computer, I'm trying to find one that like takes up the whole screen and it's like, I can pull up what I have.
Just pull up what you have.
Okay. I need to make myself host. Am I showing the American flag?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. Normally, we will have a public comment, but our Madam Clerk said there is no one signed up for public comment at this time. No one in the queue, no new. Okay, then we'll deem public comment period closed, and we'll move to approval of minutes. Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. I offer our meeting minutes from our January 3rd organizational meeting, as well as our January 3rd regular meeting for approval.
Thank you. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wusu. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion passes. Continuing on, we have no local laws. So we'll move on to any standing committee reports. Ms. Fredericks.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on January 12th following caucus. During that time, we were joined by a number of department heads, and we discussed the following pieces of legislation. First, Ordinance 11122, which was bonding for traffic engineering's radio frequency. Second was Resolution 11122R, which includes salary adjustments for the police department, water department, as well as corporation council. And then finally, Resolution 21122R, which is salary adjustments for two new grant funded positions, Love Your Block Fellow and the Climate Justice Fellow. All three were voted out of committee with a positive recommendation and will be voted on by the full council here tonight. Also, tentatively, we plan to meet February 2nd to discuss two pieces of legislations that are going to be introduced tonight. Hopefully one being emceed and then introduced. That is 51222R and 61222R, pending scheduling confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kimbrough.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Council Operations met last evening to discuss tweaking our rules of procedure. We had a very robust conversation with the assistance of retired council member Richard Conti, and lots of ideas for changing things around and making things better. Ms. Romero was nice enough to compile the notes, and which went out a short time ago. We'll be meeting again soon to follow up and tweak those so we can bring them eventually to the full council for passage.
Thank you, Mr. Kimbrough. Those are all for any committee reports. Moving on to ordinances held. Ms. Fredericks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I noticed Ordinance 11122 and asks for its roll call vote.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the ordinance?
An ordinance authorizing certain purchases by the city of Albany, New York at a maximum estimated cost of $500,000 and authorizing the lease financing or the issuance of $500,000 serial bonds of said city to pay the cost thereof for traffic engineering, traffic signal improvement, radio communication upgrades.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams.
Yes.
Anani.
Yes.
Valorant.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Farrell.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Frederick.
Yes.
Hoey.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Keegan.
Yes.
Kimbrough.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Romero.
Yes.
Zamer.
Yes.
That's 14 in the affirmative.
Ordinance is passed. Thank you very much. Continuing on the agenda with resolutions introduced, Mr. Ballard.
Thank you. I asked that Resolution 4/12/22R be read and introduced today. Thank you.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council amending the City of Albany Capital Resource Corporation Certificate of Incorporation, authorizing the continuation of the authority of the City of Albany Capital Resource Corporation to issue obligations to finance projects to be undertaken by the corporation.
Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. There'll be a referral to the council's planning committee.
Thank you, sir. Continue on with resolutions introduced. Ms. Fredericks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice resolution 5/12/22R as amended and ask for its introduction.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council consenting to an adjustment in salary for certain blue-collar union positions in the 2022 budget.
Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. There'll be a referral to the finance committee.
Thank you. Continue on with resolutions introduced. Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to add resolution 6/12/22R by majority consent.
For a second to that motion.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Ms. Fredericks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice resolution 6/12/22R and ask for its introduction.
Clerk, please read the resolution.
A resolution of the Common Council consenting to an adjustment in salary for certain Albany Police Benevolent Association positions for the 2022 budget.
Mr. Kimbrough.
Thank you, Mr. President. There'll be a referral to the council's finance committee.
Thank you, sir. Continuing on with resolutions. Resolutions held, Ms. Fredericks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice resolution 1/11/22R and ask for a roll call vote thereon.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council consenting to an adjustment in salary for certain positions for the 2022 budget.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I would like to just explain my vote.
Ms. Romero?
Thank you. I have some reservations, and I was unsure before, and now I'm a little more unsure about this, given the potential increase in Albany Police Department budget that we'll be voting or that we'll be discussing in the next Finance Committee, given that the APD checks that were given to police officers before are now being included in their salary, and then we're going to increase their salary even more. I would love to vote on this separately, so that we maybe had an opportunity to discuss a little bit more the weight of this decision. So for that reason, I'll be abstaining on this vote. Thanks.
Any further discussion on the resolution? Mr. Kimbrough?
Yeah, just to add a bit of information on that, the budgeted stuff here is supervisors, commanders, and chiefs. So they're not in the same class as the rank and file detectives and police officers that the upcoming discussion is going to be about. Just so you know.
Thank you, Mr. Kimbrough. Any further discussion? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani,
Yes.
Valorant,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Love,
Yes.
Romero,
Abstain.
Zamer,
Yes.
13 in the affirmative and 1 abstention.
Resolution passes. Ms. Fredericks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I notice resolution 21122R and ask for a roll call vote thereon.
Thank you. Can the clerk please read the resolution?
A resolution of the Common Council consenting to an adjustment in salary for certain positions for the 2022 budget.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none, can the clerk please call the roll?
Adams,
Yes.
Anani,
Yes.
Ballerin,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Frederick,
Yes.
Hoey,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Keegan,
Yes.
Kimbrough,
Yes.
Love,
Yes.
Romero,
Yes.
Zamer,
Yes.
14 in the affirmative.
Resolution passes. That ends our agenda for this evening on passing resolutions. Any miscellaneous or unfinished business before the council? Hearing none. Mr. Kimbrough.
You're muted.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good evening,
Have a good night.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Be safe
Thank you.
But good
and
night.
healthy.